Norm of the North has a sequel. I know I said it before, but I still can't believe it's a thing. So now that this film is actually out, I have no choice but to take up this request. But do I really have to do this? Can I get a second opinion? What would Mendo say?
Do your Patreon requests.
Well, can't argue with that. Alright, so you may recall that time I reviewed Norm of the North as part of a subscriber special. It was so bad that I blew up the world on accident. We got better though. But even with the critical panning it got from me and various other critics, it did make some money back, so I guess they decided to go through with making the 2 direct-to-DVD movies they announced before the first movie's official theater release. Sounds like someone at Splash was faithful to these movies. However, what would have been the second sequel, The Arctic All-Stars, ended up being merged with Back to the City to become Keys to the Kingdom. Since it became a feature-length movie, they thought it was a good idea to give it a limited theatrical release at the last minute. I guess Lionsgate wanted this all to die. Even better, the whole movie was leaked online long before the announcement that it was going to be in theaters. Honestly, there's not much to lead into. We have new directors, Richard Finn and Tim Maltby, but apart from Tim having worked on good and bad things, I have no faith in this movie. So, let's just get it over with. Here it is, Norm of the North, Keys to the Kingdom. Well, nothing really bad so far. It's just a generic landscape opening that would be fitting to any direct-to-video form. And Mount Barrymore? What?
Well, this is exciting. My first bust on a glacier.
How did humans never see this? Oh well, maybe they did and don't care that the animals are sentient. After all, they do delight themselves in watching them dance. Not like normal animals! Also, Norm is now voiced by Andrew Toth. Probably the only positive I can give this movie, since Rob Schneider is gone. So what's the conflict this time? Norm doesn't know how to be a king. Riveting.
How's this? King in action. Check me out.
Smooth move, buddy.
Pensive king. How's this?
I don't know how long they had to make this, or because their budget was meant for a shorter project, but for a feature-length movie? This is just depressing. The animation seems even less smooth and detailed than the first movie, which is an accomplishment since that movie didn't quite reach films like The Nut Job, but it was at least passable. Who at Lionsgate thought this was a good idea to release to theaters? Also, at the end of the first movie, 2 of Norm's cubs had brown eyes and 1 had his green eyes. In this movie, it's reversed, so 2 have green eyes and 1 has brown. At least they remembered the number of cubs though, and I guess the most important one out of them will be Quinn, who is voiced by Cole Howard.
Some respect. He's not some goofball sliding around on the ice.
That's gonna be king of the Arctic? I got more royalty in my cards.
How long do you think his reign will last?
30 seconds tops. He's gonna take 1 step onto Pride Ice and fall on his furry butt.
Remember when he saved your entire kingdom from a greedy Ken Jeong character who wanted to plaster fake homes and turn your environment into an uninhabitable landscape? You can at least acknowledge he saved your asses. Seriously, guys, despite what happened, he still saved you all. Why do you not remember that little fact? Sure, he's an idiot and a goofball and is very clumsy and is easily tempted, and wow, I see now why no one has faith in him ruling.
What's up, dudes? And
Is Polar custom to...
can you please turn off your phone? Sheesh, have some respect. Although, whoever's phone that is good taste. That song rocks. I got the same ringtone. Ah, rats, that's my phone, isn't it?
We're only 5 minutes in. That would mean 40 minutes remain for the first sequel's plot. And just to spoil the big twist for later, this is one of those movies that begins with one plot, ends in the middle, and then starts over with another plot for the remaining runtime. And I assume nothing from this plot line will really relate to the next one, so it might be jarring to focus on Norm's Be a Better King arc and then jump to something else immediately after. So, during his coronation, he gets a phone call from Olympia, who, by the way, has the only returning actress, Maya Kay. At first, it's just an obnoxious call given how Norm acts in front of everyone, but then she gives us the real plot.
Just heard from the mayor. Norm, you're getting the key to New York City.
Oh, me?
Yes, you! You're the king of the Arctic. It's the highest honor a dignitary can have. And since you can talk, they want to bring you down here again for a ceremony. I'm so excited to see you again.
Why do I feel like this is going to be a terrible remake of Going to America? So get this. Quinn is worried that his father is going to embarrass himself again, and that Norm might not become the king he wants him to be. Keep in mind, this plot would have only been part of a 45-minute long movie, and we're already at a point where Norm wants to prove himself to one of his children. So he brings Quinn along since he's the oldest? Okay.
All right, little guys, you stay here and hold down the fort while I'm gone. No, I don't want to hear it. I'm gonna have my hands full without you little furballs running around. I'll see you when I get back.
What? Are we gonna go the whole plotline without the lemmings? Hallelujah! We won't have to listen to them bumbling about or farting in our faces? Of course they're gonna come anyway. Why the hell not? We need our rabbit replacements, don't we? Can't we settle for the Mario Rabbids? Those ones were at least endearing and funny.
I said you can't come. But no, you don't care. You just want a free ride to New York. You want to pee in the subway like everyone else.
So they arrive in New York, where they get greeted by Olympia and her mother, Vera. Also, see how they handled the shocking revelation that Quinn can speak human.
Seems like you have some good friends here.
What?
Quinn speaks human too?
He does.
I do?
Yes, you do!
He does? Oh, yeah, he does.
Holy crap, he can speak human? What's for dinner? Why, it's seafood, because we need to pan out this little reunion in an attempt to show Quinn that Norm is a friendly guy. God damn those lemmings!
I just want to make sure I'm actually king material. I got the entire Arctic counting on me, and I'm not as graceful as my grandpa, you know?
I see your point. But you just need to be yourself. You're a great king because you're not totally perfect. You're just you.
A fair point. I mean, he still should learn some decency when being a ruler, but it does go with the general belief that you shouldn't have to try being the kind of ruler someone else has and just do things your way. Too bad it's wasted in this movie. Now for more padding. Norm forgot his phone back home, and it seems his other two cubs found it. They plan to watch the live stream of their father getting the key to New York, as well as show everyone else it by having it reflect off a crystal. Not sure that's how it works, but whatever. Say hello to Mayor Freeman, voiced by Brian Drummond.
Oh, sorry, sensitive nose. That's gonna stain.
Why so nervous? Are you scared that you'll upset Beerus? Well, it goes about as well as you'd think. Though I would expect a little more class from the guy who knew how to dance like nobody's business. What, being an icon is easier to handle than being a monarch?
And as a symbol of our trust in you, it is my honor to present the key to the city, the highest honor we can bestow. It is a key that opens every single door in the entire city.
A speech,
Don't worry, Norm! You got this! Just imagine everyone naked!
I know I'm not the smartest bear. I may not be the best looking. I'm pretty inarticulate. I'm incredibly clumsy. If you would have told me that one day I'd be representing the Arctic in New York City, accepting the coolest award ever from such an amazing mayor, I would have laughed. And I wouldn't have been able to do it without my family and my friends. Quinn, I love you like a son, buddy.
I am your son.
And to Vera and Olympia, my very best friends, I love you like family. In fact, I love you all like family. On behalf of the Arctic, I want to thank you for this great honor.
Alright. Except now you have roughly 25 minutes left to get something out besides showing that you're at least earnest to your people. Seriously, it's just padding at this point. And since we're getting another storyline later, we're gonna have to wrap up whatever we have going on here, which will mean less time to really develop anything. Even the first movie at least attempted to establish character and plot, but we're going through pretty fast, and so far we've only accomplished in reassuring that his friends and family see him as a kind ruler. What else are they gonna do? Well, we have our answer. Someone sneaks into the apartment wearing what might be a costume of Norm, and next morning the news starts blasting that Norm was committing robberies.
Money has vanished from 3 banks. We're looking into it. We're searching cameras around the city. I want to urge everyone to remain calm until we get to the bottom of this.
Stay calm? How can I stay calm? I've lost my entire life savings! I'll lose my house!
I can't find the key anywhere. Come on! Where is it? Where is it?
Okay, first of all, a key of that size should not be able to open every door in New York. Second, Norm has his friends who were with him all night. Why not just use their testimonies to say that someone in a polar bear suit is trying to frame him? Well, luckily, it's not like they tried searching the apartment, so they have time to find proof. With Olympia's help, they look at some of the footage and determine that's not him because...
That's not my dad.
How can you be so sure?
My dad doesn't do stairs well. Plus, he's never stolen anything in his life.
Clumsiness as evidence. Well, maybe they can bring this up to the police since they're gonna have to look into this as well. They think of asking Larry, from the first movie, since he's the only character we know that was known to cosplay as polar bears, and he's upset that Norm is branded as a criminal. His proof for him not being the one? His suit was at the cleaners, but it was stolen.
Cleaners was robbed yesterday too, and someone took the costume.
Any clues?
Not really. Security footage just shows a shadowy figure.
Oh man, we're never gonna solve this.
I will shove you into each other's ass so it forms a perfect circle. You can all smell each other's farts forever, for all I care. Right now, the only thing they can do is try to catch the thief at the next bank before they try escaping out to sea. Vera and Norm find out about what they were doing, and even though he's a risk factor, Norm comes along too. Whatever, they show up as the robber tries getting into the vault and is attacked by some unknown assailant. Norm pursues after them, and I guess everyone in town drives red cars. Also, we see that the attacker is... a rabbit?
More robbers, huh?
No! We're trying to stop the robbers! Just like you, Fong.
Hold up. You know this thing? Ow! Cut it out!
Fong, the face of the Bank of Chinatown. I've heard stories. Now I know they're true. You are a financial wizard.
It's all in the lucky foot.
I have a few questions. 1. How long has this rabbit been living as an owner of the bank? 2. Does this mean that this world is somehow meant to have anthropomorphic and regular animals? And yeah, Olympia is trying to make it sound like it was just a story that Fong even existed, but that only makes my first question have more meaning, since he'd have to find a way to get contracted and all that. But whatever. Norm gets caught, and instead of our heroes trying to defend him with their evidence and testimony, Fong suggests they go after the money while he goes to save Norm. Also, Quinn had him deliver an inspirational speech to Norm because we needed to really cement that he's accepted his father and all that. Anyway, since Fong has a helicopter, they follow the cargo ship and confront the 2 animal handlers from the first movie. And after a predictable battle sequence, they manage to apprehend them and get the money back. They still don't know who set him up, but at least they can ask Mayor Freeman for help. Well, things seem about as typical of a good ending as Norm can get, but yeah. You know why they set up that cologne thing with the mayor earlier? Yep.
That bag smells like the mayor. The money smells like the mayor. The mayor smells like the money. Hey! This is the key to the city! My key! The mayor is the bad guy. We have definitive
Mayor Freeman, you're under arrest.
Me? Under arrest? I'm the mayor! I'm as powerful as a king! I can do what I want!
That's not what being a king is. Being a king is the responsibility of knowing what's right and what's wrong. And to know that if you do something wrong, you apologize for it.
Haven't you learned yet, Norm? A leader never apologizes. A leader makes people apologize to him.
Ah, so the Donald Trump philosophy. It's not my fault, it's everyone else's fault. And then we get the worst helicopter chase scene ever. The chase sequence in The Cat from Outer Space was infinitely better than this, and that was made decades ago. Norm does a stupid thing and somehow leaps from the helicopter, bypasses the blades of Freeman's helicopter, and catches onto the side. Soon he engages Freeman in an epic one-on-one battle. Well, more like one-sided.
You're gonna be locked up for a long time. But before that, you are going to apologize. Are you ready to apologize?
Never.
How about now? Are you ready to apologize now?
Our hero! He threatens to drop the bad guy off a helicopter just to get him to say sorry. Bottom line, he does make a public apology before being sent off to jail. Norm and friends say goodbye to each other, like they aren't gonna see each other anytime soon. And then we get what would have been the ending to one movie, because they show his head is now part of Mount Artmore.
The ice does add 300 pounds.
Dad, it's the king everyone loves.
Had that been it, I'd say this was a really bad movie that almost reaches the first movie's level of bad, but at least has the excuse of being direct to DVD, so obviously some things were going to be rushed anyway. Not that I expected much out of Norm, but I would have expected worse. But of course, this isn't it. Because now we have the other movie that got put in. So to show that this really is happening right after he gets home, listen to this.
All right, Lemmings. First day back to work and I feel great.
You made us proud, Norm. Glad to have you back.
I'm gonna be late for lunch.
Sorry, Chief. It's been like this all day. Welcome back, by the way.
Seems kind of abrupt that Quinn would have his "I'm so proud of you" moment, and then we follow up with "back to work." Not even a day since getting home and already we have our next plot line. I imagine Arctic All-Stars had a different way of opening up to Norm finding out people are polluting, but if this was happening while he was away in the city, how did no one take notice or do anything about it?
Improvise, things are obviously gonna get a little messy. This one's on you, big guy.
I get that it's important to stay hydrated, but this is a little much. Where'd these water bottles come from?
That's a solo cup, Norm. And really? It's been 2 weeks? How long were the boat rides? Another tie to the previous story is that because Norm stopped Freeman, the people started moving their money into Fong's bank. Also, after establishing that Stan was responsible for the leftover pollution, and that he might be jealous of Norm's kinghood, we learned that he let that one water company that was mentioned earlier take some ice chunks out of their land. And Stan let them do this because they offered them hockey sticks. So Norm calls Olympia for help, and we learn who this Prime Minister Volanov is.
As Prime Minister of Technekistan, it is my job to deliver my people coldest, freshest, purest water in world. That is why we get our H2Os from the North Poles. Does not get more purer than that, am I right?
Of course, we gotta have Russia involved. Oh, and Volanov is also voiced by Brian Drummond. So since Stan gave them permission to take ice away to make their water, they are technically able to do this. But according to a Conservation Act, the permission has to be given from a government official, so they do have a chance.
No, he is a high-ranking government official. Stan begged me to be in my cabinet, so I threw him a courtesy title of Vice King.
When did this happen? So I guess instead of just revoking Volanov's permission, since Norm's the king and should have more authority than his brother, he needs to find some way to get Stan to be less selfish or something. He thinks to have him help win their home back by challenging Volanov to a 2 out of 3 hockey match, which they make public to the world for some reason. I guess it's the only way to get his attention.
If we beat you, you leave. For good.
And if you win, you take the ice.
Okay, King Norm, you are on. Hockey, after all, is our national pastime. We will crush you!
At least this plotline got its feet off the ground quicker than the previous one. It still sucks though, since the point of this is to teach Stan a lesson about thinking of others before himself. But Norm himself might be insecure, since after the montage, in which Stan forms his team, Norm wants to be part of the team, but there's no room for him.
Nope. Sorry, sport. Yeah, Norm, we're trying to win here, not Arctic shake 'em to death.
We just got over that plotline like 10 minutes ago. Seriously, even with the implication that they might have changed a few lines so it somehow flows from one plot to another, this half still feels like it should have happened a while after the first one. At least then maybe I can understand them forgetting that Norm is a good king to them despite being an idiot. Fong volunteers to fund Norm's team for equipment and all, since he's apparently so rich that he even brags about it. Though I still don't know how he got rich to begin with, or why no one ever broke the story of his existence before now. Even Volanov knows who he is. Also, he thinks that just because Fong is funding them, and Vera wants to market the crap out of everyone, that somehow they're a threat. I mean, they're animals with little hockey experience. I say you still have an edge. But no, he's afraid of Stan because...
He reminds me of your brother.
Yes, they are similar. They both only care about themselves. No team.
On one hand, they are at least trying to expand on characters within Norm's family. But on the other hand, this is still a pretty poor story that's the back end of another story that both are forced to share DVD space in. This is best suitable for either a TV series, or as they wanted earlier, a direct-to-DVD film. And I especially dislike how obnoxious they make everyone to where I don't care to learn more about them anyway.
I wanted to talk to you about your game. There's no I in team, or in country, actually, and your country is your team. The Lemmings have been complaining, and they don't complain about anything. If we want to win, you're gonna have to pass the puck.
Oh, you're right. I'm gonna listen to you, but only because you're the best hockey player in the world. Oh, wait! Never mind. That's me. I'm the best hockey player in the world.
And then there's this needless rivalry between Fong and Socrates over who is the best advisor character. This did not need to happen. But then again, this shouldn't have been part of a singular product meant to combine what are 2 short movies into one. In any case, Volonov's plan is to use Stan's ego to make him the public figure for his bottled water. I guess this will make him less likely to care for his team, even though he never cared for his team in the first place. But whatever, it's game time.
Hello and welcome, folks. I'm Jim Caribou, and this is my colleague, Rick. It's animals versus humans in what people are calling...
They're calling it, what happened to the cue cards, Oh, no, okay, what are we gonna do, Jim?
We'll do it live, Rick! We'll do it live!
Do it or live, Jim! Do it or live!
What did that caribou just say?
I'm pretty sure he just said...
Which reminds me, does that mean Fong also has the same gift as Norm if he can speak freely to people? I'm sorry, I can't get over this. What were they thinking when they brought Fong into the picture? And really, if Volonov was just going to hire the national hockey team anyway, because he's a cheating bastard, what was the point of even getting Stan involved when his team was gonna chicken out anyway? Was it just for insurance? At least the actual hockey stuff is passable. It's not overly jarring like the helicopter chase, but I'm not digging this at all. It's just so boring. Everyone gets pissed at Stan for being egotistical, so he and Norm have an argument.
Now the great King Norm is taking over hockey too, huh? You couldn't let me have this one, could you? Everything has to be about you.
What are you talking about?
This is the first time in my life I've been the best at something. The first time in my life I've had my own thing.
You ran the shows for tourists for years and loved every minute of it.
That's not the point.
Then what is, Stan?
You're the king, the great hero. Oh, look at Norm. He's amazing. Well, I'm amazing at hockey, so deal with it.
What an asshole!
So this leads to Fong having to take over as coach. And just after this fight, Norm goes to make up with his brother, and while he seems to try saying how he used to look up to him, Stan is still upset that he got replaced as coach, made worse by him being benched by Fong for not learning to share. He says he doesn't want to play with bad players. Without us even seeing what Fong coached them on, they're suddenly better than the national team.
I don't like this. We must stop them. We are bringing in the national team.
But, boss, this is our national team, no?
The real national team. The ones that won us all the medals.
You mean to tell me you lied about having the national team already? What the hell? Oh, and because they managed to not get scored on and even score on the other team, Stan finally realizes what a jerk he was and apologizes. Yay! And since their goalie got injured, Stan asks Norm to be the goalie instead. Now the only real change to this real national team is they added Volonov's brother, who was the top player. Otherwise, this is starting to feel like the poor man's Seekers of Darkness. Or no, I think I know what the real change is. Russia is using bots to cheat in hockey, just like how they cheat in elections. And thus Stan comes to make his speech.
It's not over yet, guys. Just remember, if I can change, then you can change. Everyone can change.
If I can change, and you can change, everybody can change.
So, Chase, who I believe was the other sibling, tells them about the robot players and they have the lemmings expose them. Benny is of course the only natural player, but either way, Volonov is exposed. This should be the end of the movie now, since he cheated by having fake players. But oh no! Norm demands they have a 3-on-3, or rather 4-on-4 given the goalies, game to decide things. What's the point? Again, he cheated, so you should win by default. It's on national television! But whatever. Through teamwork, Norm blocks a shot, and Stan lets his sister make the winning goal.
I do not understand!
I am not surprised.
What is that supposed to mean?
Those animals were fighting for their home. They themselves, no one else. They deserved this win.
What a load of poo. Anyway, they return the ice blocks to the Arctic. Chase reprograms the bots to help in cleaning up. Socrates and Fong are on better terms, and it just ends with a shot of Mount Why Is This Here More? So, is this better or worse than Norm of the North? Well, if we were going by direct-to-DVD standards, I'd say the two stories are a tiny bit better than the original, if only because they didn't go overboard on pop culture references. They're still bad for story reasons, but hey, 45 minutes per story and being sold in places you probably wouldn't know about unless you really looked, whatever. Easy to ignore. But as a feature-length movie that got released in theaters, yes. This is definitely worse than the original movie, mainly because by having to combine films, they somehow have to tie two films into each other. But the way they segue into each other seems sloppy. Like, I understand wanting to reference the previous story for continuity, but it just seems like more time should have happened between the stories, so it doesn't seem like it happened immediately. Otherwise, we start with a plot for Norm to learn how to be a ruler, and end with Norm having to learn how to be a better brother. With the first movie, we just have one long and really annoying plot that at least tries a little bit to have a developing story with developed characters. Here we have plots that are rushed to order and have to wrap up quickly before the next starts. Then of course, the animation quality is poor compared to the first movie. It's clear they wanted this to be released to DVD ASAP, but someone came along and said, no, you put these two together and put it in theaters. I do hope that the animators get more opportunities outside of Norm. There has to be plenty of talented people on there who could do so much more with what they have without having to deal with this sort of situation. If anything else, it's just disappointing they didn't get to work on something really new rather than keep at something that failed once. Yet someone still saw potential in it. Do they still do now? Because I don't. This movie, or movies, suck. And that's all there is to it. I'm not gonna go overboard and blow up an entire galaxy for this. It's not worth it. I got better things I could be doing, like reviewing a good movie that we got requested next. The only solace I can take from this is at least there aren't any more Norm movies in the future. What in the holy hell?
Geronimo!